We have done 96. We have done 96 of these things. And yes, meeting host, you have started the recording right on cue. To officially start the meeting, I want to tell everybody who's present that this meeting will be recorded and shared and may be shared amongst members for study and self-reflection. Whether they do, whether they watch it or not afterwards for is up. Whether or not anybody will watch these recordings is up for debate, but it can be dug up later. So you should know that. Some parts may also be used for promotional material later. In order to have a smooth meeting, here are the ground rules of this meeting. Please put yourself on mute when you're not speaking. Don't interrupt when somebody else is speaking. Please put your noise making devices like phone or tablets uh, or your pets. If you have any pets, you can put them in silent mode somehow. If you can figure that if they have a silent mode button, and support the speakers with your warm smiles and claps. And now, in order to have a great meeting, I would like to welcome our club president, Toastmaster Mehak Kapoor. Everybody, please greet Toastmaster Mehak onto the virtual podium with the applause.
Woohoo!
Thank you so much, Sergeant Accounts, for such a warm welcome. It's my pleasure to welcome you all to the 96th session of Toastmasters Club of Storytellers. I hereby declare the meeting open. Before starting with the session, I have a small announcement to make. Like District 41 is organizing a half marathon for the members of the club, and will be going to held on 16th of October 2022. The venue for the same is Jawaharlal Nehru Stadium. So, and the registration form has been shared already on the WhatsApp group. So, I would request the interested members, to please go and register yourself for the same. Thank you so much. The registration date will close on 3rd October. So, hurry up. Thank you. Now, I would like to welcome our guest on stage. First, I would like to welcome Mukesh Yadav to please introduce himself to the members of the club.
Uh, Hello everyone. My name is Mukesh Yadav. I'm based out of Delhi. I'm working as a software engineer with one of the consulting firm here in the Gurgaon. Um, yeah, so I have been part of the previous Toastmaster meeting of the different club, but due to some reason I was not able to continue. Uh, for the very short time, I joined one of the Toastmaster club in our organization, but I want to again join and continue with the journey. So that's why today in the morning I trying to find out the some of the Toastmaster club nearby my house. So I came to know about this particular club and sent the message to I think Deepti, and through her I got the invitation for this particular meeting. I'm looking forward to be the part of this club. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mukesh, for joining us today. We hope that you like the meeting. Now, I would like to welcome Toastmaster Ayushi to please introduce herself to the members of the club.
Thank you, Madam President. Good afternoon, Toastmasters and guests. I am Ayushi. I am from Invictus Toastmasters, and I am here. I came to know about that there is a role vacant about the grammarian. Deepti ma'am told me, so I took up the role gladly. And I look forward for an informative and a knowledgeable meeting. And thank you for having me here. Thank you. Over to you, Toastmaster Mehak.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Ayushi. It's our pleasure to have you for the meeting with us. Now, without wasting any time, let's move ahead. And first, I would like to ask you a question. Do you want to know about who was the Poison King? Well, the history of the Poison King? And I'm sure the answer is yes. So let's welcome and let's hear from our Toastmaster of the day, Toastmaster Arjun. Let's welcome him on stage with a huge round of applause.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody. I got interested in this topic during the time of lockdown because back then everybody was talking about immunity, right? That if you had, for example, I remember in the beginning days of the COVID lockdown, a news that was going around for 2 days that people who were smoking somehow had increased immunity to the virus. Then, of course, that study was suppressed and I never came up again. But back then, in that paper, the logic was that smokers generally do a lot of harm to their lungs on a daily basis. So so their lungs adapt and they actually are like more resistant. I mean, I was like, you know what, this kind of logic can be applied to everything. And I thought maybe it has been the case throughout history that people have taken poisons in order to become immune to poisons. And so with that hunch, I started looking up stuff on the internet, and I did find the great poison king, the oldest known poison king. So, and he is from the region of Ukraine today. And even today, that region is known for its political poisonings. For example, uh, throughout the last 20-25 years, how many political poisonings have happened in Russia? For example, there was some Bulgarian defector who was killed by a ricin tipped umbrella in 1978. Ricin is a poison that comes from beans, I think. It's like a very, it was featured in Breaking Bad. Then there is this, there were so many former spies of the KGB who have been killed by radioactive polonium 210 that has been slipped into their food. Journalists, anybody who's critical of Putin's administration, they somehow mysteriously disappear. And the latest challenger to Putin's authority was Navalny. He was also like they tried to poison him also. The guy who tried to be Ukraine's president before the present guy, he was also poisoned by this yellow rain dioxin, and he got horribly disfigured because of that. And if you look at the history of this region was always a thorn in the side of the Western Roman Empire. And this region saw the birth of one of the, I think, one of the greatest toxicologist and biologist and conqueror maybe. And one of, like, think of him as like, think of him how the US tried. What if the US never caught Osama bin Laden, right? Back then the Roman Empire was like today's US. And this guy, this king I'm going to talk about, was like the Osama bin Laden, who was the sole rallying point for all the resistance against the Roman Empire and their corrupt taxation practices and their violence and all that stuff. And for 20, 30, 40, 50 years they cannot catch him. And the worst part is, when he was born, the sky was lit up with two comets. And the two comets in the Roman system was considered a bad omen. And in the Eastern system, in the Persian system, and I'm talking about this Middle East and Far East, Near East. So for them, the East, this was considered a good omen. And like, all of this helped him rally the resistance. And his whole life was consumed by this desire to remain healthy and strong towards the end, because as soon as he was born, his own mother tried to poison him. And so he developed this strong desire that if he could take small doses of poison throughout his life, then maybe he can gain immunity to all poisons. And I will share some very, very fascinating insights into his life, which I think his life should be more well known. I think his life is much more interesting than the life of Alexander the Great or Napoleon or anybody. This man has had an impressive epic life, and I won't tell you the name because his name is a little bit weird to Indian ears. So I'll just talk of him as like he's a Bollywood hero, like RRR or something. Okay, so that is more palatable to our ears. His name is Mithridates, by the way, but I won't refer to him anymore. But I'll tell you some tales from his life and how he has affected the world till today, uh, about the whole immunity and taking small doses of poisons to immunize yourself against, and taking that daily multivitamin that we do was probably started by this person, because he took a daily pill with poisons and antidotes to protect himself against all poisons. So this is the introduction, and to carry the meeting forward, a Toastmasters meeting is composed of three sections: the prepared speech section, the table topic section, and the evaluation section. In the prepared speech section, there will be people who have written. I am just like talking off the top of my head, but there are people who have actually written down stuff and prepared speeches and come to deliver them here. And we should like really encourage them, because they are trying to work on their speech speaking skills. The table topic section is again for people who want to develop the skill of being able to talk on any topic at any time without any kind of restriction, right? Just a free word association game. And that is the most fun part of the Toastmasters meeting. And the last section is the evaluation section where people who are trying to improve their speaking skills will get evaluation on what to improve. Because we all know the people who think they are very funny, who think they are very interesting, who think they speak very well, but they don't know how annoying they are. So we here have a system of feedback. So these are the three sections of the Toastmasters meeting. And to take us through that, we first hand over the podium to the general evaluator for today's meeting. The general evaluator is Toastmaster Toastmaster Deep.
Right. Thank you for inviting me on the virtual stage, Toastmaster Arjun. Well, we are really kicked about hearing more tales and stories of the Poison King. But while we give you the stage, before that, I will have to introduce my very interesting team who is going to help me evaluate the meeting today. So my team has I have three main pillars. Okay. First off is my grammarian. So Toastmaster Ayushi, I hand over the virtual podium to you to please share what are your roles, what are your responsibilities in the role of a grammarian. Over to you.
Madam General Evaluator. Good afternoon, Toastmasters and dear guests. As the grammarian, I will note down the good usages and not so good usages of grammar. At the very end, well called upon by the General Evaluator, I will present my report. I will note down the usages of grammar in speeches, table topic speeches, and at evaluations. As the grammarian, I will also introduce you to the word of the day. And let me just share my screen to share the word of the day. Can I please have a thumbs up when my screen is visible? Okay, great. So the word of the day is defer, which is a verb. The meaning is to choose to do something at a later time. Synonyms is to hold off something, to delay something, or to postpone it. An example with the word usage is that she deferred her master's program for a year so that she could travel the world. I would encourage all the members and the guests to use the word of the day, defer, in their speeches. And I would have a thumbs up when someone used the word. So thank you. I will present my report at the end, and back to you, Toastmaster Deepthi.
Thank you. Thank you, Toastmaster Ayushi. That was well explained. All right. The next role player is our timer. I would like to invite Toastmaster Mehak on the virtual podium to introduce her role as a timer.
Thank you so much, General Evaluator, for the day. Greetings, dear members and guests. Okay, I'm going to play the role of a timer. And as a timer, I will time the three parts of the meeting. The first one is the prepared speech session. The second is the cable topic section. And the third is the evaluation round. So for the prepared speech section, the speech round would be for 5 to 7 minutes. So at 5 minutes, I will show the green card. At 6 minutes, I will show the yellow card. At 7 minutes, I will show the red card. The red card will be shown till the time the speaker stops speaking. The similar would be shown at the time for the cable topic section. At 1 minute, I will show the green card. At 1 minute and 30 seconds, the yellow card. And at 2 minutes, the red card. And for the evaluation round, 2 minutes, at 2 minutes, I will show the green card. At 2 minutes and 30 seconds, I will show the yellow card. And at 3 minutes, I will show the red card. Thank you so much. This is my role, and back to you, the General Evaluator for the day.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Mehak. That was very well explained, and I appreciate the cards shown to everybody. The third role is that of an hour counter. Due to some emergency, we had to sift around roles. Diptendu, can you be the hour counter? All right. So then with that thumbs up, I'd also request you to unmute and describe your responsibilities in the role of an hour counter.
Thank you so much, General Evaluator Deepthi. As the R counter, I would observe each and every speaker who speaks today for break in fluency. The break in fluency could be due to ahs, ums, certain crutch words or crutch phrases like you know, etc. I would also notice at pauses. I will also notice pauses. Pauses can be leveraged. They can be used effectively to convey a message, or at times pauses can be a hindrance and break the fluency of a speech. So I'll be looking at three things: ahs and ums, pauses, long pauses and short pauses, and crutch words and phrases. And you will see all these aspects covered in my Countess report for all the speakers who take the stage today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Diptendu. Double thanks, one for helping us at the 11th hour, and secondly, of course, to explain the role beautifully well. Thank you. With that, my tag team is up. The only role that I'm left to explain now is the active listener. So today I'm going to double up as a general evaluator and an active listener. As an active listener, I will be asking I'm asking few questions to you. So be attentive, listen carefully, and make sure you answer the questions towards the end. So with that, I hand over the stage back to our Toastmaster of the day, Toastmaster Arjun.
Thank you, Toastmaster Deepthi. Poison has long been a time-tested tool of inheritance in royal families. Arsenic was even called inheritance powder because back in those days, kings used to have so many sons and so many daughters, and there was really no such thing as a job you could get abroad. So social mobility was very limited. So the only good job around was the job of the king. People would get poisoned right and left, and arsenic was especially very valuable because it can you can put it in somebody's food for a long period of time, and it causes symptoms very similar to dysentery. So our man, you have to understand the context of the time, because right now in India we don't really understand how the Roman Empire was founded. The Roman Empire, Roman Republic, I should say, was basically a proto-democracy. It was not exactly a direct democracy; it was a representative democracy, but the rules of the game were very violent. It was the people would get elected as the consul only if you conquered the neighboring kingdoms, and in the contest to be the next ruler, just imagine that if all of our leaders, suppose you wanted to become the CM of Maharashtra, you had to go and conquer something in Bangladesh, or you had to conquer some territory. Otherwise, there was no political office for you. So over time, over a period of 300, 400, 500 years, all of your neighbors are really annoyed at you. And being friends with you or enemies with you is both similar only. This is like not really much difference, because they'll turn anytime. So in such an environment, it is easy for historians to say that, somebody will rise. If you treat people around you so badly, somebody will rise. But actually, for somebody to actually rise and take up the mantle is another thing. So in that situation, Mithridates was born, and of course, because people in his own royal family, his father or like relative from whom he had inherited the kingdom, he was not even interested in ruling the kingdom. What he had done was that he was so interested in science and investigating botany and zoology and biology that he died at the age of 37 mysteriously. And he had started investigations in toxicology. And when he died, he basically, when he knew that he was going to die, he had no heirs, and he basically bequeathed his kingdom to the Roman Empire, saying, you know what, they're going to take it anyways, and it's just better for me to surrender, otherwise they will cause too much bloodshed. And this was, of course, not very valuable for this nephews of this person who were waiting for the kingship. And so there were seven brothers and sisters, and a lot of people were trying to poison each other. And Mithridates was the star of the show because people thought that he has this great destiny. And in that region of the world, like I said before, even today there is a very long history of poisoning. And even that day, like Hannibal, who was the original opposer of the Romans, he committed suicide by taking poison instead of falling to the Romans. And there was a Roman general who was sent to conquer some territories, and he had laid siege to a bunch of cities. So because they were not giving up, he just poisoned their well water. There was a plant called Hellesbore. He just put that in the well water. Everybody died. His own soldiers, the citizens, everybody. So looking at all of this and looking at the research done by his uncle, he continued that research, this our fellow Mithridates. And because he also had this great destiny, he was descended from both Alexander and Cyrus the Great, the two epic kings of that era. Remember, we are talking this era around before the birth of Christ even. This is around 90 BC. And for him, Cyrus is as mythical a figure as Shivaji is to us, 400 years. And for him, Alexander is somebody like Aurangzeb, maybe 300 years ago. So these are, for him also, these are distant figures. And he's descended from both of them, from his mother's side and father's side. So he had this grand destiny, and it was unquestioned his destiny. And he was able to rally the people all around this region to his cause throughout his life. And his investigations led him to create a theriac. A theriac is a pill that he made out of exotic materials from all over the world. It contained all kinds of weird extracts put together with honey, and he took this almond-sized tablet and he took it every day. This theriac was so effective that at the end of his life, I mean, of course, at the end of he had a sad ending, but an epic ending. At the end of his life, when he was surrounded by the Roman forces and he had to commit suicide, he had his ring. He had a bunch of poisonous powder in his ring, and he tried to kill himself by taking it. His antidote to poison that he had been taking all his life was so good that he refused to die. It did not even do anything to him. And then he had to order his own soldier to kill him. Okay, you have to kill me. I'm not falling into their hands. Kind of like how Hitler had to kill himself before being captured by the Axis powers, not Axis powers, the allied powers. Other than this, there's a lot of other aspects to this person, and I will continue with that. But right now, we have to go to the prepared speeches section. To take us through the first speech, we have speaker. Our first speaker today is Toastmaster Deeptendu,
Yeah.
and the evaluator for Toastmaster, I'm assuming, is Toastmaster Deepti. I would like to pass on the podium to Real Superpowers. Other than that, we can move ahead. Do we have a second speaker today? No, so we can move on to the table topics section. The table topics master for today is Toastmaster. Toastmaster Mehak. Okay. I was so Toastmaster Mehak. I'll give the virtual podium over to the table topic master.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Arjun. Greetings, everyone. I'm also going to play the role of the cable topic master again. So first, I would like to brief you all about what the cable topic master round is. Here in this round, the cable topic master gives an impromptu question to the members and the guests, and the speaker needs to speak for about 1 to 2 minutes in this cable topic round. So I have some of the questions prepared. As we all know, that the contest season is about to come up for the cable topic contest. So I have prepared some of the questions that have been previously asked in the contest season only, to give you a gist of how the cable topic contest takes place and what type of questions have been asked there. So I would like, first of all, an experienced Toastmaster to come up on the virtual stage and take up any topic. So Toastmaster Deepti, would you like to try?
Okay, sure.
Okay, so the topic for you is less is more. Less is more. Toastmaster Deepti, the stage is yours.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Mehak, for this topic. Less is more. I totally believe in it. And as a matter of fact, I have read it also somewhere. And when you read things, you tend to imbibe them faster. So when they're spoken, you tend to, it comes to your working memory. And but I use less is more in context of the times when I'm getting ready for an occasion. So Every time I get dressed for an event, a party, I have this feeling that, if I take off one piece of accessory, I'll probably look the best. That is the less is more theory for me. And trust me, it really works. Not to say that I overdress myself in an attempt because I know 5 minutes later I'll probably put off one thing, but I do have that habit. So uh, every time I get dressed, I'm ready. I either change my shoes. If I'm wearing ones with heels, I'll make turn into flats. Or if I'm wearing heavy danglers, I'll probably change them into hoops, or maybe just remove my double bindi. That's what I do. But yes, I firmly believe less is more, and it somehow gives me that confidence that I am uh, not exaggerating myself, or I'm not overdoing things. That is the kind of satisfaction I get when I remove that one little piece and I get into the mold of showing less, being more graceful, using less accessories and being more graceful and more presentable. That is how I feel. So thank you for that topic. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Gifty. This was a wonderful speech. I've like please everyone given a round of an applause. And I really believe that in just the small amount of the words that you use, you can correctly pointing out that less is definitely more. Now I would request the guest to come up and take up a topic. Toastmaster Ayushi, would you like to try? So the topic for you is every cloud has a silver lining. Every cloud has a silver lining. Toastmaster Ayushi, the stage is yours.
I like to believe that everything happens for a reason. Thank you, Table Topic Master, for giving the topic. The topic clearly resonates with my thinking, with my feelings, that every cloud indeed has a silver lining. One example that I can recently think of is I have a younger brother, and he is in his last year of college placements. How many of you here are engineering students or know someone who has been doing engineering? I see one hand. Only one? Two. Okay. Just to give you a little bit of context, we in engineering have 4 years of studies, 4 years of graduation, and in the last year, we have placement season going on. So what happens here is companies come, they give their tests, and according to that, the students are given placement in the companies. So I have faced the same, and I now see my brother facing the same challenges of getting into companies, giving rounds and rounds of interviews, and sometimes the results are positive, sometimes the results is not. So my way of looking of that opportunity, of that scenario, is that it's okay. We have failures, but they are stepping stones for a better possibility, for a better, I would say, situation to come forward so that we are ready. And when that situation comes, we give our best. So like the table topic given to me, every cloud has a silver lining. Challenges will come and go, but the way you handle them, the way you see them, the way you handle them is what matters. Thank you, and back to you, Toastmaster Mehak.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Ayushi. It was a wonderful take on the topic, and you correctly mentioned that there is always light at the end of the tunnel. So we should start looking on the positive side of everything. Next, Mukesh, would you like to try?
Yeah.
Sure. The topic for you is effort is its own reward. Effort is its own reward. The stage is yours.
Um, Thank you, Toastmaster, giving me this topic. So, uh, as the as in the previous table topic, she was mentioning about her brother placement during the final years. Same thing happened with me when I did my graduation. So it's well, I haven't done the like the 4-year graduation. I have done the BCA. It's the Bachelor of Computer Application, and I did from the that's also I did from the IGNU. Uh, so it's quite hard for me to get the placement from in any software company during that time. So I was trying lots of things during that time. I was working as a part-time with one of the consultant where I was formatting his resume for he's mainly HR consultant, and I was formatting his resume to and uploading on the Naukri.com. Uh, and the same time I was preparing for doing some Photoshop and the HTML CSS coding. But I was thinking to get the job in the software industry during that time. So I somehow I got the opportunity to intern with one of the small company that was based out of the in the Delhi NCR only. So I got the opportunity to work on the Photoshop, but somehow I got rejected in the uh, during the interview round. But so I just talked with him. Okay, can I try after a month for the same position? He said me, okay, yeah, definitely you can try. So I came back and joined one of the institute where I learned the Photoshop and other skills which is required for that particular job. And somehow after a month, I got a call from them. Ki, okay, they will hire me not as a employee but as a as an intern for this particular role. So I thought this words tell ki if you put the efforts on something, definitely it will give the results. Thank you. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Hitesh. It was a wonderful speech, and I really believe that effort is the only thing that we can do. We should not focus on the reward, whether it could be positive or negative. Effort is a thing, like you should give your 100% effort. You should not worry about the results. Next, anyone who would like to try? Okay, so I could see Toastmaster Dipin and Toastmaster Arjun. So first, anyone could come up, then Toastmaster Arjun. So the topic for you is dreams of the future are better than the history of the past. Dreams of the future are better than the history of the past. The stage is yours.
See, the future is if you want to run a company, or you want to, like, a company is not going to, like, anything is not going to run on legacy, right? uh, the future is created, but the past you cannot change. And so, but you need to remember the past so that you can create the future you want. So you need to study the past because you want to know what is possible. And what I actually find that the study of the past is actually very important in order to be able to visualize the future. Because if you don't know, what I find is, like, if you just take the present as it is, you don't know your history, you don't realize that a lot of things we take for granted today. And this is actually a human superpower, and also a limitation, that whenever we are born into a world, we just assume that the exact situation of the world as it was when we were born is how it has always been. And we just take it for granted. We don't even question it. And but when you come to realize that everything that we see today was done by somebody visualizing something. For example, when our ancestors, I'm pretty sure they were not happy living in the nature. Even though nowadays we are sick of living in our rectangular box apartments, and we are like sick of living in these closeted environments, and we yearn to go for a weekend vacation in some hill station or jungle or something. We would like to see some trees, and we would like to see some weird shapes. But I'm pretty sure if you talk to our Stone Age or hunter-gatherer ancestors, they were pretty sick of getting wet in the rain every time it rained. They were pretty annoyed by winds coming in, and like they had no, and all the good caves, like they were there are, I mean, caves are not like MADA accommodation or government accommodation. There are very few good caves, and I'm pretty sure like all the good caves are already taken by either tigers or by other stronger tribes or whatever. And so they were really, really annoyed that they had to live in the jungles all the time. And so they dreamed of a future where their children would not have to get wet in the rain. And so they desired that, my children will live in like big stacked rectangles and they will never have to see a green thing or a brown thing ever. I will make neon. Like I want like glowing pink artificial fluorescent something which I cannot even see in nature anywhere. I'll make that color. I want to see that stuff all the time. And I'm pretty sure that is what led them to create all these great cities nowadays. And we just look at our cities and we just take it for granted and we just curse and spit on it and we think, what is this? But because if you don't know your history, that this was all a step by step, this was the dreams of many, many generations. If you don't know your past, so when we are looking to colonize Mars or whatever, and whoever ungrateful people who are 200 or 500, 2000, 20,000, whatever, are like born on other planets or asteroids, moon, wherever, they are also going to curse on us. They don't understand what dreams we have, right? So dreams of the future, I think that dreams of the future are better when you also remember the past. How about that? Yeah, that sounds good.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Arjun, for your wonderful take on the topic. Next, Toastmaster Diptendu. So, the topic for you is have stories to tell, not stuff to show. Have stories to tell, not stuff to show. The stage is yours.
Many a times I imagine, what would I like to talk about when I turn 60? Imagine I have a photograph of mine with my family in Switzerland. I show that photograph to my friends and brag about the time I went to Switzerland with my family. Maybe I'll throw in a couple of more statements. I stayed in a 5-star hotel and had best of the best cuisine that Switzerland had to offer. My narration would end just there, and it would be nothing but an exercise in bragging. And bragging is what we can call in Hindi saste nashe or cheap thrills. It doesn't last. It is only for the benefit of the people whom we are narrating the story to. It doesn't help build bonds. And then I think I'd rather be able to narrate a story of me visiting to Missouri with my family, of how the people around me, my family members, felt when they were traveling in a car through the winding mountainous roads, looking at the greenery all around, how they felt breathing in the fresh air of Missouri, how those little niggles and aches suddenly disappeared after spending a couple of days in Missouri, how the water tasted a little fresher in Missouri, and the other things that they actually did in Missouri, how they met a local family in Missouri, spent an evening with them, and enjoyed the food cooked by that local Pahari family. This would be a story and experience that I would be able to share with my friends at the age of 60. And probably they will be able to narrate this story with their friends, and it would be kind of a ripple effect. When a butterfly flaps its wings, the ripple effects are there in the entire world. So if I only restrict myself to material aspects of life, the joy would be literally non existent, and there would be no value add to anyone's life, not even mine. But when I have got stories and experiences to share, I can't brag about experiences, I share experiences. And when you share something with a fellow human being, That is the real essence of being in this life in this form. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Kendu. That was a very wonderful speech. And now I will, so this was the cable topics round. And here I'm going to give a small
Mehak,
gist.
why don't you also take a table topic, all right? And I know you're having fun giving us all these philosophical topics. Let's see how well you. Okay, so here is a topic for you. And Deepti, can you time Mehak? All right then. So Mehak, the topic for you is the time is always right to do what is right. The time is always right to do what is right.
Thank you so much for this wonderful topic. So here on this topic, I would like to narrate a small story. Just a few months back, I went to a place in Thailand, Phuket. We were very much enjoying there. We stayed in a hotel. We were very much happy about that place. We thought it was my dream of doing parasailing there. I have always dreamt of doing it once in a while in my lifetime. Well, but due to the time constraint, we just saw the people doing the parasailing. And when we went to the beach, they said that now you would have to do it tomorrow because the beach was closed at that time. I felt really bad at that moment because my dream of doing parasailing was I was not able to achieve that dream. My father told that no worries, we would be doing this in the next tomorrow in the other beach in different part of the city. Well, but at that place also, I was not able to achieve that dream because at that place there was no parasailing because the time was not right and there were floods. There was kind of floods in the beach that was coming. So this was it. I never did the parasailing in Phuket, and I came back from there. Well, this made me realize that time, when something is bound to happen, it should happen. And this is what you want to make it happen. The other time when we were not able to go to that beach, it was just because of our laziness, maybe, that we were not able to go to that beach. And at that time, the time just went by and I was not able to achieve my goal. So I believe that time, at a particular point of time, when something is bound to happen or it should happen at that time, one should not wait for the right time to come because the right time is now. So you should do whatever you want to do in your life. Whenever you want to achieve your dream, start now and give it your best shot. Never wait for the right time to come because it will never come. The right time is now. Thank you so much. Back to you.
Well done, Mehak. That was fantastic. And the stage is yours, of course.
Thank you so much. So with this, I would like to say that the cable topic round is coming to an end. But here I would also want to like you to know that all the topics that I shared, all the topics were from the contest that were given in the cable topic contest in the previous time. So in the cable topic contest, the topics would be given will be the general way. It will not be just a type of topic that would round about in your around your lives. For example, it would not be like what do you like to wear or something related to yourself. It could be a general topic, it could be a quote, or it could be a saying, it could be a proverb, it could be an idiom. So we need to prepare according to that. The second most thing is adding a story in the cable topic would give a best shot to it because the judge, the contestant would always want a story, a story or narration around that cable topic. That would make it more valuable and that would add something value to the cable topic that has been given to you. For example, and sometimes it also happens that the quote or the idiom has been shared, you're not able to understand that. I would like to give an example for that. If the idiom is beat around the bush and you have to give a topic, you have to prepare, it is given on the spot and you have to give a speech about that. You don't know the meaning of it. Now, how will you give a speech? You might pause in between, you say anything. But remember that you have 30 seconds to prepare for that. see, like the topic is beat around the bush. Now, what could particular mean? It is that you're wasting your time moving around, or you're just wagging around. That could a possible meaning of that idiom. So, according to that, maybe nearby to that, the meaning you have to give your best shot. You have to speak. Don't just pause in between. So, at that point of time, if you're not able to get like what is the meaning of this idiom or proverb, think about it, around it, like what that possible thing could mean. And the third important thing is like give when you're not able to speak anything, or you're not able to get anything out of your mind, like what you should speak next. Just give a pause, a small pause, and then start and move a little slow. Don't just speak and ums, because that would not make a positive impact on your judgments. So give a small pause and then start again with the speech. So these were some of my takes that I have learned initially from the table topic contest and that I've shared with you all today. So I hope all the best because the contest season is coming up. So now I will pass the stage back to our Toastmaster of the day, Toastmaster Arjun.
Okay. So thank you, Toastmaster Mehak, for that wonderful introduction to table topic. See, it's like the Hulk said, what is the secret of how do you stay calm all the time? I'm always angry or something like that. No. So my technique of preparing for table topics is to always be preparing for table topics. I never prepare. Uh, why is cabbage? Okay. See, in biology, there is this principle called hormesis, where if you take minute doses of a poison, for example, in the beginning, I told you about how people who were smokers, they had some kind of natural immunity to COVID. I don't know if that research has held up or not, but if I want that research to be true, I want it desperately to be true because I want to believe that damaging your lungs on a daily basis is not that bad. I mean, it sounds good, right? Like this is one of the dangers of first order thinking. This is why our ancient sages would not give knowledge to everybody because when people like me start doing first order thinking and start thinking from basic principles, we are basically off the rails. So if everything that if something doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger, then maybe smoking is also good because it is damaging and killing all the weak lung cells. Maybe radiation is also good, a little bit of radiation. If you get it in your system, no, it is like making your system more robust. And if you get it as young as possible, your system learns faster, which is actually the exact opposite of what is true. We are taught this in our training and everything, but it is all if you start thinking like that. But in terms of biology, it is actually true. For example, most of the benefits of cruciferous vegetables like broccoli and cabbage, they don't come from some nutrients that are there in there. I mean, it is good for you. You should eat it because it has vitamin C and some minerals, magnesium, and all that stuff. But the main why it is considered a unique group on its own that you must include as part of a regular healthy diet is because it has certain compounds that are basically toxins like isothiocyanates and glucoraphanase or something like that. I don't remember the name. I might be getting it wrong. But those are basically toxins, but a small dose of that creates a beneficial effect in your body that is very useful to make it stronger. And this is called hormesis. And I think in the ancient time, Mithridates was if not the first, at least the one to popularize it the most. Because after he created his theriac, that daily pill that he used to take every day, which included small doses of all poisons in the natural world. Like he would get imported snake venom, scorpion venoms, bee sting venom, wasp venom, and but the problem is none of us know the recipe to this day because he was known to have a very strong he's known for dying very old. I think he died at the age of 90 or something, and he was very strong and very, very capable right till the very end. I mean, at the age of 65, he was frolicking like those two guys in RRR, the movie, with another king who was also 70. He's known for his exploits. He's known for his all kinds of exploits. And the problem is nobody knows. So after Mithridates, every king has taken some kind of concoction. And it has just gotten more and more ridiculous throughout history. If you see the emperors, Nero, and even some Indian kings used to take it. And so they just put all kinds of stuff. They put gold into it, they put silver into it, because I mean, it's like the Listerine logic. If it's shiny, it must be good, no? Because we think if Listerine is burning our mouth, it must be doing something good. Is that burning sensation is the germs dying or something like that? That is how we think. Again, the dangers of first or like of letting people like us do the first principle thinking. So this is one of the fundamental contributions I feel, which is very little known, which nobody really talks about. At least which I didn't know about, and I read only came to know when I investigated into the poison thing. So yeah, his that recipe is lost, and after that, so many people have tried to. There are so many fake recipes that have come up, and if you look at history, every king since the last from 100 AD to 1000 AD has taken something, because poisoning was so prevalent. Uh, the main poison was, of course, arsenic, and arsenic is one of those poisons. If you take a little bit of arsenic, it somehow like your liver manages to develop a difference. But if you take mercury like that, it's not going to work like that. Mercury will actually kill you over a while, because it will accumulate in your system. So it's a very tricky business. So he used to experiment on his prisoners of war. Whoever he used to capture, he used to give them poisons and see what happened. And he investigated and wrote all these things, but all those things are lost, unfortunately. Uh, yeah, that is one of the things from the ancient world that would have been very nice to have. So with that, we'll go to the evaluation section of today's meeting. And the general evaluator for today is Toastmaster Mehak, no? Or Toastmaster Dipti. Yes, the general evaluator for today is Toastmaster Dipti. And I would request Toastmaster Dipti to take the virtual tour.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Toastmaster of the day. Some very interesting tales coming from you.
Most interesting part was that Arjun is so sad that all this knowledge about poison has been lost.
Lost, yeah. I know you can see it from the expressions loud and clear. All right, so let's start with the evaluation section, which is the most valued section in any Toastmasters meeting. So I'd first like to start with the speech evaluation. And here I am presenting an evaluation on the for the speech today. Okay. Beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder. In itself, the topic is a beautiful idiom which makes you think. You know, this is one of those idioms which actually gets on you and you tend to make up stories the moment you think of that idiom. And this is exactly what started happening with me when I heard the title of the speaker's speech today. Of course, the first thought to me was that it's going to be about some love story, some love logic, and which is how the speaker started the speech. The beauty in the start, or how he introduced the speech, was when he gave us the counts, not one, not two, but thrice. He broke his heart, not once, not twice, but three times, you know. So that actually gave us he built up the story. And when you do a build up of a story, we tend to listen in, or we tend to tune in to the speaker. That's exactly what happened. So today, Diptendu, in the first 10-15 seconds of your speech, we were totally hooked. We were waiting for what is going to happen. The brilliant turn came in when you started with the story of a colleague. Your voice was slow, the pace was slow, the tone was somber, and That is exactly what was required for the story you shared. I could see the faces of all six of us. You, of course, while you were delivering, but we were all serious. But we were all looking into the camera at you. I think it was the perfect pace at which you delivered the incident. The way you described it, I could reimagine it in my mind. I think it was beautifully done. The storytelling was at par. Another thing that I loved about um, the way you delivered the story was that you made us count the positives. I actually made a note of each one of them. Now, when I refer back to that list, I know that when I move out of this virtual meeting today, I have to look at the positives in life. So that was the biggest takeaway for me. So thank you. It was very well done, very well delivered, and I loved the storytelling as a whole. For making this speech or taking the speech to the next level, I would have just two recommendations. One would be very specific about how you delivered a line where you said, so and so thing happened, right? So when you say words like so and so thing happened, you're making the audience guess. Let there be no guesses. You can frame a question which goes in the direction of what you're expecting them to understand. You explained it after calling out those questions, but let us not make the audience guess. That was on the content part. The other is in voice modulation. If you could have showed panic in your voice when the colleague had a seizure, that would have absorbed us all the more. We could have felt the pain. So that is the piece where you don't have to use voice modulation throughout. Okay, in fact, your speech was more like a spiritual discourse. I loved it. But a little voice modulation will keep us hooked. So while the slow pace and the tone were beautiful, it was so believable. It was so believable. The story, the positives were counted out. I think that was amazing. Just a little bit of work on voice modulation parts and not making the audience guess would take it to the next level. Beautiful speech. Thank you for sharing your story with us today. Thank you. Now I come back to my role as a general evaluator and I call upon Toastmaster Ayushi as the grammarian to please present her report.
As evaluator. Can I just share my screen to present the report?
Absolutely.
Is the screen visible? So the word of the day was differ, and I did not hear anyone using the word of the day. That is something which we can work upon in the next meetings further on, to use the word of the day at least once or twice in the speeches or in the table topic speeches or in the team or theme. Moving on to the good usages of grammar, I noted a few good usages of the grammar. Some of them I have listed them down here. The first one that I noted was fascinating, which is an adjective. It means that if something is interesting, it is used to describe something. The next that I noted was an idiom that was used by Deepthi ma'am, I think, at the 11th hour. It means just in time, or to just someone came in or someone did something just in time and saved the day. That is a synonym for the idiom. To surrender, which is a verb, means to stop a resistance, to stop opposing someone or something. Next that I noted was live in the gratitude. The word gratitude itself means to be thankful. So live in gratitude means to adopt the quality of being in gratitude or being thankful. The next word that I observed was exaggerating. It is also a verb, which means to overstate something or to say it in a way that is much, much more than it actually is. The next that I observed was to yearn, which is also a verb. The word yearn means to have an intense feeling or longing for something. A ripple effect is a phrase that I noted that was new to me. It means the continuing and spreading result of an event or an action. Like when we have a water droplet in a pond, so we have ripples that which are created. In a similar way, we can use this phrase in certain circumstances. Next, um, next is minute, which is an adjective. This word is also used as minute, which is a 60-second, that is a quantity of time. But the way that I noticed in the meeting was minute, which means a small quantity. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger is an idiom, which is like an affirmation of resilience to make someone believe in themselves if there is a situation or a bad situation. So this is an idiom that can be used. I really like this one. And the last that I noted was prevalent, which is an adjective. It means that something or someone is widely acceptable and widely known. I also noticed a few not so good usages of the grammar, and I will now present them. These are very minute grammatical mistakes, but they tend to deteriorate the quality of what we are trying to say by a little bit. So I noted a few of them. Narrated struggles with me. When someone narrates to you, it's to someone, not with someone, because one person is talking to someone else. So the person is talking to someone else, not with someone else. So that's what I noted. One, barricading were not there. A better way of saying that is barricades were absent or barricades were not there. So that's one thing that I noted. And the last, best of the best. A better way of saying is that one of the best things or the finest way to do so, it is just a little more better way of doing. So if we incorporate these little changes, so it could make our speaking skills a little more better. So that was my grammarian's report. Thank you so much for thank you so much for listening.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Toastmaster Ayushi, for a detailed report. I'd now like to invite our timer, Toastmaster Mehak, for her report.
Thank you so much, General Manager, for the day. Now, here I would like to present my report as a timer. First, in the procured speed session, Toastmaster Diptendo took 6 minutes and 51 seconds. It was just asking time. Toastmaster Deep for coming towards the table topic round. Toastmaster Deepti took 1 minute and 49 seconds. Toastmaster Mukesh took 1 minute and 44 seconds. Toastmaster Ayushi took 2 minutes and 25 seconds. Toastmaster Arjun took 2 minutes and 31 seconds. Toastmaster Diptendu took 2 minutes and 28 seconds. Now coming towards the evaluation segment, Toastmaster Deepti took 3 minutes and 30 seconds while delivering her speech. So this was my report. Now I will hand over the stage back to the generative editor.
Thank you so much. Thank you for recording the time for everybody. And then now I'd like to invite Toastmaster Diptendu, our counter, to please present his report.
Sure. Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. Starting with my R counters report now. First up, Arjun. Since we have got limited speakers in today's meeting, I'll go over each and every speaker. Arjun, I did notice a few R's in your presentation as the Toastmaster of the day. But with the gripping content that you were delivering and the overall confident manner of speaking, the R's did not break the fluency for me. On to Mehak. Mehak, you were as fluent as Sachin Tendulkar's straight drive. And then I heard Deepti speak in today's meeting. I noticed that she used 2 to 3 times. And it was something that I was getting aware about. I was aware that she is using That means it was a little bit of a distraction, something that Deepti can take care of next time. Moving on to Ayushi. Ayushi's presentation and delivery was as smooth as silk. And then we had Mukesh, another fellow software engineer. Mukesh, there were a few R's in your speech which were breaking the fluency. My suggestion would be that be aware of the R's you are saying or you are about to say. And when you are about to say an R, don't say anything. And just live with that pause. And then you can slowly and steadily improve upon that. And that is my R counters report for the day.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Jitendu. That was indeed a very crisp and a direct report. I truly appreciate it. All right. Now let me move on to my report. Okay. Let me start with the Sergeant at Arms. Sergeant at Arms Toastmaster Arjun. I think the dialogue at the beginning was great, especially about commenting about the weather in Mumbai. And luckily, the exemption for Delhi was absolutely right. Uh, so it's a good way to start a meeting because that is how you typically engage the audience. And weather is the most often spoken about topic. So thank you for brightening up our days and making us aware of what is going on where. Uh, I couldn't help but notice the woohoo at the very end. And also the last part when you were stating the rules, they went about. It reminded me of that quick statement which comes. Yeah. Well, they're good for fun, but because we usually have guests in our meeting, I think it's best to just call them out firmly and in a regular tone. It needn't be serious, it needn't be funny, just a regular tone. But all in all, great start to the meeting. It put us in good moods. So thank you for that. Moving on to our president made sure that she announced an upcoming event, which is brilliant. She's making an effort to keep the club apprised of the upcoming events. And she dutifully took an introduction of the guests, which was also done nicely. I think that is a brilliant start to a regular meeting. We move on to the Toastmaster of the day, to Arjun again. I was very intrigued by the topic, and I really did not know what stories are you going to share today. So, as a general evaluator, I loved the start. Okay, but the start for me happened when you were speaking or you were comparing the Poison King to people like Alexander the Great or Napoleon. That is when I actually could connect. So if that part could have come at the beginning, I would have been hooked to from the very start. So whenever you're talking about some characters, there's some techniques that I can suggest. One is probably use some resemblance or something, or the way you use relatable characters at the very start. The other way is you can probably put up a picture.
Yeah.
We haven't seen that guy.
Yeah, I actually was going to, but I put it off
That's
too
okay.
late and I didn't make the presentation.
That's okay. That's not a
Yeah.
problem. So yeah, just a thought.
It was
So
necessary today. I know 100%. Like 4 slides I was preparing for each segment. That is 100%.
no, I believe the slides are also not important. It's just that we need to mentally connect to a picture, right? Or you could have probably worn a hat or something like that just to give yourself a different feel. So
Yeah, I compared him to Osama if he had never been caught, trying to compare something. But
bring
anyways,
out
you
that
continue.
comparison at the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that we can start imagining, and all of us have seen Osama's pictures, right? So we can make a mental picture of this guy as well. That will start building our story. Okay, so I loved the entire story. I loved the tales. There's one little bit that I'd like to share. One another thing is that when you're introducing the role players, even if you don't know who is it, right? We had a lot of changes today, so I knew that last minute you would need to know the role player name. Don't make it obvious to the audience. So if you're trying to find out who the general evaluator is, so slow down, say our general evaluator for the day is, and we will raise our hands or somebody would ping. You don't have to say I guess. Let's not tell the audience that we don't know or we're not sure. Let us not show our lack of preparedness to them. As a club, we were in a frenzy today. So Let's not bring it out. Okay, so those are the only two pieces. But I love the tales, and I'm waiting for another one post my session. I'm sure there's one which you want to end with. No? Okay, thank you. Then I move on to the grammarian. Um, at the beginning of the meeting, very well introduced role. I love the fact that you share the word of the day well in advance, and we could share it with the guest group as well as our internal groups. And for people who are members who are not able to join today, I'm sure they've learned that new word. They won't wait for the minutes of the meeting to learn that word. So that was very well done. Thank you. That's a learning for us as well. The other beautiful thing that I liked about your role is the report. I think it was an amazing report. I haven't seen in all the meetings that I've attended. I have seen PowerPoint presentations with good usages and not so good usages. I have used it myself, but with meanings, with the part of speech, I think brilliant. And in this short span of time, outstanding. I don't have any more, you know, higher degree words, but great effort, Ayushi. And doing it in parallel while listening, kudos. There was lots to learn for us, not only as a grammarian, but also as an audience, because not only do we know the meaning of the word of the day now, we also know meanings of a lot of other words. So thank you for creating that ripple effect. Very well done. Thank you. Okay. Next up, the timer role was very well explained. I really appreciate that you showed the timer cards at the beginning itself to make the guests and the members familiar with how or what technique or method are you going to use to indicate the time. Very neatly done, and the timings were showed neatly and nicely. There's a little recommendation that I have. That maybe when you're reading out your report, you can paste it in the chat. So we might not be able to register our timings, or we might want to recollect or note our timings. So we can just open the chat and see. Okay. So that's the easiest and the quickest way to do it. So when you're speaking the timing, just paste it on the chat. That's about it. Brilliantly done, timer's role. Thank you. And thank you for picking it at the 11th hour. Okay. Moving on to the R counter. Hats off, Toastmaster Dipsendu. I love the way you present the R counters report. It's not an easy report to present, and not there are never many takers for this particular role. We all know that. So taking it up at the 12th hour, I asked you or requested you in the meeting. Thank you for your forthrightness and your initiative taking ability, and also presenting it very well. I love the way you gave us our feedback. So the way you commented about me using repeated usage of the word I think I'll take it back home because it was given to me so beautifully. And same way, I'm sure others also have noted their own points and they're going to work on it. And that is what the reporters here are for. You need to have the team take the feedback back and work on it. So thank you. Brilliantly done. Table topic master. The topics as idioms were lovely, and the cherry on the cake was not one, but 3 or 4 of them. So there were 4 cherries on the cake today. The fact that you made the effort to find out the topics which were used in a contest so that we could speak on those topics, that's a very thoughtful thing. I truly appreciate it. Thank you, Toastmaster Mehak, for making that effort. The other beautiful thing is that you also shared, how to deliver a table topic. So you gave us tips about adding a story. Then you moved on ahead. You did not stop there. How to add that story. Okay. And in case you cannot add that story or you haven't understood the topic, how do you approach the table topic? I think this is one of the most beautiful ways in which a table topic session ended today. So thank you for doing it beautifully well. And thank you, Diptendu, for giving a table topic to Mehek also. I'm sure it caught her by surprise, but then in a meeting, we must all learn and grow. Um, okay, to the table topic speakers. So since I'm totally bowled over with the Tindu speech today, and I want to focus only on the positive. So I'll share what I loved in each of your table topics. Okay, I'll start with Ayushi's topic, which was about every cloud has a silver lining. I think what I loved is the way you started. You narrated a quote, and then you thanked the Toastmasters, table topic master for the topic. That's a beautiful way to do it. You just got me hooked, and I haven't seen such starts in a table topic. So thank you for educating us on that. Very well done. Moving on to Mukesh. Mukesh, your speech was so heartfelt, and what I truly appreciate is the fact that you stood up against fear. And in fact, I think you reminded me of the full form of fear, where it says, face everything and rise. So today, in your table topic, when you actually delivered your story, when you shared your story, it's not easy to share a story of loss, of a point of failure, right? You did that. And what you gave an example was the correct acronym for fear, which is what I just shared. You faced everything and you rose. Today, in your table topic, by the end of it, I think you rose as a human being in our eyes. So kudos to that. Thanks for sharing what you shared with us. Keep doing that. Arjun, the moment I heard the topic, dreams of the future are better than the past, I knew. I said, this is your topic. You're not going to stop. And
It was a
and
very
I think,
difficult topic, actually. I
yes, it
couldn't.
was, but it's your kind of difficult, okay? And I could see the red card, and I was wondering, why isn't this guy stopping after time? Was he in time? Mehek?
I went above because
Because you were waiting for that, that smooth finish, and then that smooth finish came when you actually, called out or said it, that probably future or dreams of the futures are better when you remember the past. Yes, that's it. So
that sounds right.
yes, that sounds right. And indeed, that was my takeaway too. So a beautiful ending. Yeah, but just contain it at time, otherwise you'll lose the audience in the middle. Okay. We are biased. We love to hear you, and that is why we were there till the end. Okay, coming to the Tendu. Stories to tell, not stuff to show. What I loved about your delivery today, Diptendu, was the fact that you took us with you to Missouri. So every little item that you narrated in your table topic today um, is what I could relate to. I love Missouri. Okay, that's a personal favorite. And I actually visited Missouri and came back, and it's giving me that longing to go there more. That is how you create or you tell stories. You make people long to do what the storyteller is actually doing. So you are a star storyteller, Diptendu, and each time you speak, you just give me a nail to push it in that yes, we're right. So thank you for your table topic today. Mehek, uh, my takeaway from your table topic today is the right time is now. I think that's very well said. It was clear, very loud and very clear, and I loved that takeaway. You know, and the words in themselves speak a lot. That this is the right time. What you're doing is the best, and this is what you're supposed to do. Nothing happens before, nothing happens after. It happens at the right time, and the right time is now. So thank you for sharing those words of wisdom with us today. With that, I come to the end of my general evaluation section. Yes, we were late today, but we finished early, so we've somehow balanced it. And we are a little weak on member strength. Lokesh sir wasn't feeling well, so he had to take the day off. But I'm sure everybody who's not here has missed a lot in the meeting today. And let us make them miss a little more by asking Arjun to come back on the virtual stage and take over his session. So back to you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Dipti, for that wonderful evaluation, the most valuable section of Toastmasters meeting. See, if you don't have evaluation, it is how is it different from a place from going to a relative's house where everybody talks and nobody gets to tell what they really feel. So, so like I said, ever since it became known in the ancient world that this king was taking this theriac. Actually, I think I did not mention it clearly. He was a poison king because he investigated poisons which could be given to other people to kill them silently or without suspicion. But what he himself used to take was a antidote, a universal antidote, which is even today a universal dream and desire of many biotechnologists who are still trying to make something that. And I feel somewhere like the daily multivitamin or the daily pill that we take, that we are all, most of us I think take some vitamins on a daily basis. I think so, I hope so. At least fish oil or vitamin D, at least everybody should be taking.
After a certain age, yes.
Yes, I mean vitamin D in the modern era. See, vitamin D, I feel is like, it's a trade-off. If you get it through the sun, your skin is gonna go bad. And if you don't go in the sun, you look good, but you will be depressed because you don't have vitamin D. And so that you have to take. I feel all of these traditions and all of these habits have come from this practice of taking a daily something to protect you, and it has been very popular from Charlemagne the Great to Queen Elizabeth. Like they all had some version of Mithridatum, because as soon as you are a person in power, poisoning becomes a very real threat to you, because like it just does. Like nobody cares about what regular people like us are, but at that level, you are always worried about getting poisoned. And there are also all some kind of cheaper versions of Mithridatum for poor. In fact, like some people who should not be thinking on their own, they actually assume that uh, you can build immunity to any kind of poison. Like in the beginning I was telling you, if you should not let it is right that people should not think for themselves, because they will come to wrong conclusion. If like I said, like radiation could improve your strength because it is like killing all the weak cells. Smoking may be improving your lung cells because of the same principle of hormesis, right? But this principle of taking a small dose of poison has become known as Mithridatism, where it works. And Mithridates himself was pretty lucky because the poisons he chose, they were biological complex agents which your immune system can kind of try to puzzle. Like if it's a complicated, interesting kind of molecule, your immune system has all these proteins and molecules which can like reconfigure and like somehow manage to excrete it. But if it's like a elemental heavy metal, which is just an element, and there is no protein in the body that has mercury at its center. There is Arsenic is sufficiently similar enough to sulfur that it gets, like the liver is able to develop some kind of tolerance towards it. Like every time somebody smokes a cigarette, there is some cyanide gas that goes in, but cyanide is completely inorganic, and we can tolerate a little bit of it. Like in almonds, there is cyanide. uh, in cigarette smoke, in like any kind of fire, there is cyanide gas that goes in, but we are able to tolerate it, but there is no immunity to it. So it doesn't work against every kind of poison. Some poisons, if you take it on a daily basis, taking inspiration from Mithridates, it will just accumulate in your system. Like I like to quote this quotation by Sadhguru, who said that if you feed your children brinjals for a long time throughout childhood, they will grow up stupid. He actually wrote that in his book, which I want to believe in, because I don't particularly like brinjals. Uh, so again, this comes down to my premise that first order thinking should be reserved for the experts. Uh, just because he got lucky and he managed to figure out a certain combination of organic agents and inorganic which could develop immunity against the poisons of his era. Doesn't mean you can develop immunity by eating, consuming. For example, lead. If you consume any kind of lead, it is just going to poison you. There is no excretion mechanism. There is no immunity that you're going to develop. It's just going to excrete. It's going to accumulate in the system and make you stupid, make your children stupid, make everything stupid, and it's just going to be bad. So that's the conclusion. Mithridates had an epic life, but don't think for yourself. That is my conclusion from this, because he got away with it because he was lucky. Don't apply his principle and go about consuming poisons or toxic substances just because he got it. With that, I will pass the virtual podium to the presiding officer of the day, Toastmaster Mohan.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Arjun, for this wonderful session on your Poison King. And we got so many takeaways from this. We learned so many things about the history of the Poison King. So moving forward, first would we be having the voting. For the first, let's take the feedback from the guests, then we can come on to the voting. Okay, so first I would like to invite Toastmaster Ayushi to give the feedback for the meeting.
Toastmaster Mehak. I really had a very good time in the meeting. I really enjoyed the T-Mod, Toastmaster Arjun. It was really a fascinating theme, and I got to really learn about a lot of stuff, the history, the biology, the composition of poison and whatnot. So I really like the content there. Coming to you, Toastmaster Mehak, very thoroughly table topic conducted, because as we know, we have table topic contest coming over, and I'm happy to see that you have started to roll on the table topics the way it should be, because we have to start preparing for the table topic contest, and I'm glad you have started in that journey. And thank you for those tips. They were very helpful. They are really helpful, and we just have to incorporate them to make our speeches better. I really had that takeaway from you. And the speeches were awesome, both the table topic speeches and prepared speeches. Amazing speaker. I've never heard Deependu speech or give a speech or any other, but I really liked his speech. Thank you for sharing your personal experience. I really liked it. And evaluations were great. Deepti ma'am, you were amazing. You really did an amazing job at evaluations. And evaluation is one area that I personally feel I struggle, and I had a ton to learn from you, because they are very difficult. Because I personally feel evaluations are really very difficult. You have to encourage the speaker, the person who is giving the role, and at the same time you have to provide them recommendation without making it sound negative. So you did a fabulous job there. So I really had a lot to learn from each and every one of you. Thank you for having me in the meeting. I really liked the meeting overall. Over to you, Toastmaster Mike. Thank you for giving me the chance to be here.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Ayushi. It was a pleasure to have you for the meeting, and there was a lot to learn from you too as well, from the things that you shared as a grammarian and the word of the day as well, and a beautiful take on the table topic too. Next, I would like to invite guest Mukesh to please give a feedback for the meeting.
Oh, sorry. So I would say the meeting was really nice. The way it started by the Arjun, about the story and a thing about the Poison King and everything. And I love the topic, the way the Diptendu mentioned about the table topic, the way he delivered his speech about his colleague and and everything I liked about the meeting. That was quite nice and it was good for me. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now, we hope that you will keep on joining us every Saturday at the same time for the meeting. And we're really glad to have you for the meeting with us today. So, is the voting link ready?
No, Toastmaster Mehak, I'm just not able to create it. So can we do voting through the chat? So let's first,
Let's first start with the auxiliary role player.
sure, I will type the names here. Okay, so in the supporting roles or auxiliary roles, we had the R counter as Diptendu. We had the grammarian as Ayushi. Okay, and we had the timer as Mehek. So these are the three auxiliary role players. So please send your report, your votes directly to Mehek to you. Okay, so directly to Mehek. And you can choose to type the role or the name, whatever. Mehek, when you receive 5 results, just give a thumbs up. Meanwhile, I'll type the role players, names of the role players. I've now shared the names of the role players.
Just left with Arjun for the auxiliary role player.
Arjun, your vote for the aux role player, supporting role player, please send it to Mehek.
Who do I send it to?
Mehek.
Okay.
So for the auxiliary role player, Arjun, where we have the grammarian, Ayushi, timer,
Okay.
Mehek, and Dipendu as the R counter.
Mm-hmm.
And then a second round of voting for role players, and a third round of voting for
Okay,
table
okay,
topics.
okay.
We'll do that.
Okay, so I've got all the votes for the auxiliary role player.
Okay. So now everybody please go ahead and vote for the role players, which are between table topic master Mehek, G Deepti, and Toastmaster of the day Arjun. And send your votes to Mehek, please.
So I've got all the votes. Your vote is left.
Yeah, sent. Okay. And now I will type in the names of the table topic speakers.
We all for the table topic.
All six. All six.
Yeah.
All six. Yeah. All six. That makes it easier. So we just need to vote.
Oh, I have to vote. Oh, okay.
Just left with Ayushi's vote. So I've got everyone's vote now. So let's start So first for the best auxiliary role player, well, so there were 3 role players, grammarian, timer, and R counter. So whom do you think was the best? Any guesses?
The grammarian, it has to be one of the best I've seen up until now.
Yeah,
yes.
no,
Yeah,
no guesses today.
Invictus people really do like a proper job of
Yeah.
work.
Yeah, correct.
Ayushi should join our club, Ayushi. Please.
Yes.
Please join our club.
No doubt it's Toastmaster Ayushi. Congratulations, Toastmaster Ayushi. Now moving on to the role player, best role player. So there were 3 role players, table topic master, the Toastmaster of the day, and the general evaluator. So whom do you think was the best role player?
It has to be Arjun. I mean, if it isn't Arjun, then you know what he can do.
Well, okay. So it's Toastmaster Deepthi as the general evaluator for the meeting.
I mean, if it has to be the general, right? The single most scary person.
So congratulations, Toastmaster Deepthi. Now
Thank
next,
you.
moving on to the best table topic speaker. Well, we all 6 were the speakers. So whom do you think was the best? Any guesses?
Mukesh Bhai. Mukesh Bhai Ambani.
दिल से बोला.
Well, it was Toastmaster Diptendu. Congratulations to you. Round of
Deep
applause.
Bhai Ahuja. Thank you.
So thank you so much everyone for the meeting today, and we are hoping that we'll now further on will improve upon the meetings as the feedback received from the guests. And now hereby I declare the meeting to be closed. Thank you so much everyone.
Thank you.
Now the floor is open for the chit chat session.